Princess Anna stood at the massive window of her royal chambers, her pale blue hands trembling as she watched the three moons rise over her world. The news she had received earlier that day still echoed in her mind, making her heart race with fear. "You must marry the human diplomat," her father, the emperor, had declared. His words had fallen like heavy stones in the quiet throne room. "It is the only way to secure the alliance we need." Now, alone in her room, she couldn't stop thinking about everything she knew about humans. The data crystals scattered across her desk contained historical records that made her shudder. Humans had fought their way to the stars in less than 3 centuries, while other species had taken thousands of years. They had survived 3 attempts by other races to conquer their world, each time emerging stronger. "Your Highness," a soft voice interrupted her thoughts. Her attendant, Rose, entered the room carrying a holographic display. "The Royal Council sent the profile of your intended." Anna took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "Show me." The image that appeared before her showed a tall human male in a formal diplomatic uniform. "Ambassador James Stone," it read. Below his name was a list of achievements that made her antennae droop with worry. Veteran of the Galactic Defense Force, expert in tactical operations, decorated hero of the border wars. "They say he once held off an entire pirate fleet with just 3 ships," Rose whispered, her purple skin darkening with concern. "The humans call him the Stone Wall because nothing breaks through his defenses." Anna walked to her desk and picked up one of the data crystals. It contained footage from Earth's historical archives, scenes of human warfare that gave her nightmares. Their battles were fought with a determination that other species found horrifying. Where most races would retreat and regroup, humans pushed forward. Where others would surrender, humans found ways to keep fighting. "Did you know," she said quietly, "that humans are one of the few species that evolved as pursuit predators? They don't give up. Ever." Rose placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Perhaps he won't be as intense in person." Anna activated another crystal, showing scenes from human entertainment. Even their stories were filled with conflict and struggle. Look at what they consider relaxing. Stories of battles, of overcoming impossible odds, of fighting until the very end. The night grew darker as Anna pored over more records. She learned that human diplomatic compounds were built like fortresses, that human children played games simulating combat, that even their sports involved conflict and competition. She found herself unable to sleep, walking the palace gardens under the stars. The arrangement was necessary, she knew that. The Empire needed Earth's alliance to stand against the growing threat from the outer regions. Humans had proved to be unshakable allies to those they chose to protect, and terrible enemies to those who crossed them. But the thought of binding herself to one of them. A message chimed on her personal communicator. With shaking fingers, she opened it. It was from Ambassador Stone himself. "Your Highness, I look forward to meeting you next week. I understand this arrangement may not be what you would choose for yourself. I want to assure you that regardless of political necessities, your comfort and dignity will always be my highest priority. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to raise them." The message was perfectly polite, diplomatically phrased, and somehow that made it worse. Anna knew humans were masters of hiding their true nature when needed. Their ambassadors smiled and spoke softly while their warships lurked at the edges of space, ready for any threat. As the first sun began to rise, Anna finally returned to her chambers. In 1 week, she would meet her future husband. In 1 week, she would have to face one of the most feared species in the galaxy. She only hoped she would be strong enough to handle whatever came next. The space station hung like a silver jewel against the black of space. Princess Anna watched it grow larger through the viewport of her royal ship, her heart beating faster with each passing moment. Today was the day she would meet the human. 6 royal guards surrounded her, their armor gleaming. "Remember," said the head guard, "at the first sign of trouble, we'll remove you immediately." The docking procedure seemed to take forever. Anna smoothed her formal dress for the 10th time. checking that her royal marks were properly displayed. Her blue skin had a slight tremble to it that she couldn't control. As the airlock doors opened, she straightened her back. She was a princess. She would face this with dignity. The meeting room was large and circular, with windows showing the stars outside. Anna entered with her guards forming a protective circle. The human delegation was already there, waiting. And then she saw him. Ambassador James Stone stood tall, but not in the threatening way she had imagined. He wore a simple dark blue diplomatic uniform with minimal decorations, despite his many achievements. His expression was gentle. "Your Highness," he said, bowing perfectly in the style of her people. "Welcome to Unity Station." Anna blinked in surprise. His pronunciation of the formal greeting was flawless. Then she noticed what he was holding. A crystal container with floating silver flowers inside. "Star blossoms," he said, offering them to her. "I understand they're your favorite. We've been growing them in Earth's diplomatic gardens." She accepted the container carefully, wondering how he knew about her love for these rare flowers. They were native to a distant moon and notoriously difficult to grow. "Thank you," she said softly, noticing how he kept a respectful distance, making no sudden moves. The formal dinner that followed was nothing like she expected. She had imagined having to watch a human tear into meat with their strange, flat teeth. Instead, Ambassador Stone ate with perfect manners, using all the right utensils in the correct order. More surprising was his conversation. He asked intelligent questions about her world's art and music. He showed genuine interest in her opinions about galactic politics. When she mentioned a famous poem from her culture, he quoted the next line. "You know our poetry?" she asked, unable to hide her shock. He smiled, not the predatory grin she had feared, but something warm. "I believe that understanding each other's art is the first step to true peace, though I must admit, some of the metaphors still confuse me." A small laugh escaped her before she could stop it. His admission of imperfection was charming. Throughout the evening, she found herself watching him carefully. His hands, which she knew could operate weapons with deadly skill, moved with careful grace. His voice, which had commanded warships, remained soft and pleasant. Near the end of the dinner, a young server accidentally dropped a tray of drinks. Anna's guards tensed, but before anyone could react, Ambassador Stone was already helping the server clean up. "No harm done," he said kindly to the frightened young alien. "I did much worse during my first diplomatic dinner." Later, as they walked through the station's garden deck, Anna found her fear being replaced by curiosity. This human was nothing like the brutal warrior she had imagined. "Ambassador," she said finally, "I must confess, you're not what I expected." He stopped near a viewing window, looking out at the stars. "Many expect humans to be simple creatures of war and violence, but we're more than our ability to fight, Your Highness. We create art, tend gardens, write poetry. And yes, when needed, we protect what matters to us." As her ship prepared to leave that night, Ambassador Stone made no demands, no shows of power. He simply bowed again and said, "I look forward to showing you Earth's gardens next time, if you're willing." Looking at the star blossoms he had given her, Princess Anna realized that perhaps there was more to humans than the stories told. Much more. 1 week after their first meeting, Princess Anna's ship approached Earth's orbital diplomatic compound. She felt different this time, nervous still, but with curiosity replacing fear. The compound wasn't the fortress she had imagined. Instead, massive glass domes covered beautiful gardens that sparkled in Earth's sunlight. Ambassador Stone waited for her at the docking bay, still maintaining that careful, respectful distance she was starting to appreciate. "I thought we might start with something unexpected," he said, leading her down a curved hallway. "Something that might change your view of humans." They stopped before a large door marked Conservation Center. Inside, Anna gasped. The room was filled with floating containers, each holding different plants and small creatures. "These are the last of their kind," James explained, his voice soft with care. Species from worlds damaged by war or natural disaster. We're trying to save them. Anna moved closer to one container, watching a small floating creature with glowing wings. Is this a light dancer from the lost moons of Kilara? James nodded. One of only 30 left in the galaxy. We'd managed to save them before their moon's atmosphere collapsed. They moved through the center, and Anna watched in wonder as James gently tended to each habitat. His hands, which she had once feared as weapons, adjusted environmental controls with delicate precision. Most species think humans only destroy, he said, checking the temperature of a flowering vine. They forget that we also protect, preserve, and rebuild. In the next section, Anna stopped in surprise. These are royal flowers from my homeworld, but they went extinct 500 years ago. James smiled. Not extinct, just waiting to bloom again. We found seeds in an old space wreck. It took us 10 years to figure out how to grow them. Moving to a control panel, he adjusted something, and soft lights began to pulse through the flowers. They responded by releasing a sweet scent that brought tears to Anna's eyes. She hadn't smelled this scent since she was a child, when her grandmother showed her the last preserved specimen. Would you like to help tend them? James asked. They respond best to your people's touch. For the next hour, James taught her how to care for the ancient flowers of her world. He knew more about their needs than most of her own scientists. As they worked, he explained how humans had turned their warrior instincts toward protection, not just of themselves, but of all life they encountered. Later, they walked through Earth's art gallery. Anna was surprised to find paintings and sculptures from dozens of worlds displayed alongside human art. This is my favorite, James said, stopping before a strange sculpture. It's made by combining human and alien art styles. The artist said it represents hope for unity. They had lunch in a garden filled with plants from both their worlds. James had arranged for traditional dishes from her planet, perfectly prepared. How did you learn so much about my culture? Anna asked, watching him successfully use the complicated eating tools of her people. The same way we learn to fight, he replied, with dedication and attention to detail. But learning about peace is far more rewarding than learning about war. As the Earth's sun began to set, casting golden light through the diplomatic compound's windows, Anna realized something had changed. Where she had once seen a feared warrior, she now saw a guardian. The same strength she had dreaded was being used to protect delicate flowers and preserve endangered species. There's something else I'd like to show you, James said, leading her to a small room. Inside, children's drawings covered the walls, artwork from human and alien children who had visited the compound. This is the real future we're building, he said, looking at the colorful pictures of different species playing together. Not through fear or power, but through understanding and care. Anna looked at James, really looked at him, and understood that she had been wrong. Humans weren't simply ruthless. They were passionate protectors of what they valued. And standing there, surrounded by the proof of their capacity for gentleness, she began to feel something new. Hope. The peaceful mood of the diplomatic station shattered like glass when the first explosion hit. Princess Anna was in the garden section with Ambassador James when the emergency alarms began screaming. What's happening? She asked, her antenna trembling as the station shook. James's whole manner changed in an instant. Gone was the gentle diplomat. His eyes scanned the room with sharp focus. Terrorist attack. 3 ships just damaged our outer rings. He pressed his communicator. Status report. A voice crackled through. Armed group reached level 3. They've damaged life support systems in sections 7 through 12. Multiple civilians trapped. Anna's guards rushed in, surrounding her. We must get you to safety, Your Highness. But another explosion rocked the station before they could move. Warning lights flashed red as heavy security doors slammed shut, separating Anna from most of her guards. Only 2 remained with her. Life support failing in this section, a computer voice announced calmly. Oxygen levels dropping. Emergency lockdown initiated. James moved quickly but smoothly. There's a secure room 3 corridors down. We need to. The station shook again. This time, parts of the ceiling came down. Anna watched in horror as her last 2 guards were cut off from her by falling debris. "Princess," they shouted through the wreckage. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine," she called back, trying to stay calm. "But I'm with the human." That's when she heard James speaking rapidly into his communicator, but not about himself or his safety. "I need emergency teams to Section 8 immediately. We have children in the school area. Reroute power from diplomatic quarters to maintain their life support. Send medical teams to Level 2 first. There are more civilians there." He turned to Anna. "Your Highness, we need to move. The air is getting thin." She noticed he was right. Breathing was becoming harder. But instead of grabbing her or forcing her to move, he held out his hand, letting her choose. She took it. They moved through the damaged corridors together. James led the way, but he constantly looked back to check on her. Whenever they heard noises, he would position himself between her and potential danger. They found a group of trapped station workers behind a jammed door. Without hesitation, James helped Anna to safety first, then went back for them. She watched as he worked with steady hands to free them, never showing fear even as the oxygen levels kept dropping. "Ambassador," she called out, seeing him struggle with a heavy beam. "The air." "Almost. Got it," he said, straining until the workers could squeeze through. His face was pale from lack of oxygen, but he didn't stop. They finally reached the secure room, but James didn't follow everyone inside. "There are still people trapped in Section 10, he said, checking his tablet. "I have to help." "But that section's life support is almost gone," one of the workers said. James smiled, that same gentle smile he'd shown her in the garden, now tinged with determination. "Then I better hurry." "Wait." Anna grabbed his arm. "You'll die." "Maybe," he said softly, "but there are families there. Children." He gently removed her hand. "This is what humans do, Princess. We protect." She watched him disappear down the darkened corridor. For the next 30 minutes, she listened to communications as James coordinated rescue efforts, led emergency teams, and helped save lives. Not once did he mention his own safety. When station security finally contained the terrorists and restored systems, they found James helping medical teams with the injured. His uniform was torn and dirty. He was bleeding from a cut on his forehead, but he was still working. Later, in the emergency medical bay, Anna sat beside his bed as doctors treated him for oxygen deprivation. "Why?" she asked. "Why risk your life for strangers?" He looked at her with tired but clear eyes. "Because every life matters. Being strong isn't about being feared, Princess. It's about being able to protect others." In that moment, Anna understood something important about humans. They weren't ruthless. They were guardians, and their greatest strength wasn't their ability to fight, but their unwillingness to give up when others needed help. 3 days after the terrorist attack, Princess Anna sat in her private chamber on the diplomatic station, surrounded by data crystals. But these weren't the same ones she had studied before meeting James. These were security recordings from the attack, and they told a very different story about humans. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. "Enter," she called. Her advisor, Lord Trell, walked in with a concerned look on his gray face. "Your Highness, you should be resting, not watching these recordings again." Anna held up one crystal. "Did you know that Ambassador Stone went back into the damaged sections 4 times, even after the medical team warned him about oxygen damage?" "The reckless behavior we expect from humans," Lord Trell said quickly, "always rushing into danger without thought." Without thought. Anna stood up, her antennas straight with anger. "I watched him organize the entire rescue. He redirected power to save children first. He made sure injured aliens were treated before himself. That's not reckless. That's brilliant and caring." She walked to her desk and picked up an old report. "And this. This report about humans being too dangerous to trust. It leaves out everything about their medical advances, their conservation projects, their peace missions. Lord Trell's face darkened. Your Highness, you don't understand. These reports were carefully prepared to. He stopped suddenly. Carefully prepared to what? Anna asked, her voice sharp. To make me fear humans. To make everyone fear them. The advisor shifted uncomfortably. It's complicated. There are those in the court who believe fear of humans keeps our people safe, united. Show me the real reports, Anna demanded. All of them. For a moment, Lord Trell looked like he might refuse. Then his shoulders dropped. As you wish. Hours later, Anna's room was filled with new data crystals. She learned that humans had defended 15 different species from invasion in the past decade alone. They had shared medical technology that saved millions of lives. Their ships were often first to respond to distress calls, even from species that distrusted them. A message light blinked on her screen. It was from James, still in the medical bay. Your Highness, I hope you're well. I heard you're investigating the attack. Please be careful. Something feels wrong about all this. Anna smiled. Even injured, he was thinking about her safety. She dug deeper into the station's records. Strange patterns emerged. The terrorist attack had targeted specific sections containing proof of human peaceful activities. The attackers had tried to destroy records of human medical missions, diplomatic achievements, and cultural exchange programs. Computer, she commanded, show me who accessed these sections in the week before the attack. The answer made her blood run cold. Someone from her own court had viewed these exact sections, right before they were targeted. She was about to contact station security when her door chimed again. This time, James stood there, looking pale but determined. You should be in the medical bay, she said. And you should know that your investigation has some people very worried, he replied quietly. My security team intercepted some concerning communications. Anna showed him what she had found. James studied the data carefully, his expression serious but not surprised. Fear is a powerful tool, he said finally. Some people would rather spread fear than risk understanding. Like those who taught me to fear humans. Anna asked bitterly. James touched her hand gently. Fear comes from not knowing. You chose to look closer, to learn the truth. That takes more courage than any battle. Together, they spent the next hours uncovering the full plot. Certain court officials had been manipulating information for years, painting humans as mindless warriors while hiding their achievements in peace and science. What do we do? Anna asked, looking at the evidence they had gathered. James smiled, that same warm smile she had come to trust. We do what humans and your people both do best. We bring truth to light, and we protect those who need protecting. Standing there, surrounded by the real story of human history, Anna felt something shift inside her. She had feared marrying a human because she believed them to be ruthless. Now she realized that their strength came from something else. Their dedication to protecting truth, life, and peace. And perhaps that was exactly what her people needed. Princess Anna stood before the full royal council, her head held high. The great chamber was filled with whispers and worried looks. The evidence she and James had discovered lay displayed on the central console for all to see. This marriage was arranged to secure peace, one council member said, rising from his seat. But now that we know about the deception, perhaps we should reconsider. Yes, another added quickly. For the safety of our people, we should. Safety. Anna's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. Let me tell you about safety. She pressed a button, and images filled the air around them. They showed humans rushing into burning buildings to save alien children. Human doctors working without rest to cure diseases affecting other species. Human ships forming protective lines around refugee vessels. These records were hidden from us, she said, hidden by those who wanted us to see humans as monsters. The chamber erupted in argument. Some council members demanded the marriage be canceled. Others called for a full investigation. In the midst of the chaos, Anna noticed James standing quietly at the back of the room. He caught her eye and gave a small nod, then stepped forward. "Your Highness," he said, his voice carrying across the chamber. "If my presence causes such discord among your people, I will withdraw from the arrangement." The room fell silent. James continued, "The goal was to bring our peoples together, not drive them apart. I would rather step away than be the cause of conflict in your kingdom." Anna felt her heart skip. This was the ruthless human they had taught her to fear, a man willing to give up his position to protect her people's harmony. "No," she said firmly, "I will not let fear win." She walked to the center of the chamber, her royal marks glowing with determination. "I've seen the truth of humans, not in secret reports or hidden files, but with my own eyes." The images around them changed to footage from the terrorist attack. They watched as James organized rescues, protected civilians, and risked his life repeatedly for others. "You call them ruthless?" she asked. "I call them defenders. You fear their strength. I've seen them use that strength to save lives. Their determination. I've watched them work tirelessly to preserve endangered species." Anna moved to stand beside James. "When I first learned of this arrangement, I was terrified. I believed the stories about humans being dangerous warriors. But now I understand. They are warriors, yes, but they fight for peace, for protection, for life." She turned to face James. "You offered to step away for the good of my people. That single act proves everything I've learned about humans is true." Then she addressed the council again. "I choose to proceed with this marriage, not for politics, not for alliance, but because I've seen the truth of humanity's heart, and it is beautiful." The chamber burst into discussion again, but this time different. Younger council members spoke up about human achievements they'd witnessed. Others admitted to positive encounters they'd been afraid to share. An older council member stood slowly. "But Your Highness, what of the dangers?" "There is only one real danger," Anna replied. "The danger of letting fear blind us to truth." She took James's hand. "Humans aren't perfect. They make mistakes. They feel deeply. They fight fiercely. But they love just as fiercely, protect just as deeply, and work just as hard to fix their mistakes." James squeezed her hand gently, his eyes showing surprise and deep appreciation. "The arrangement stands," she declared, "and those who tried to deceive us will face justice, human and alien justice together." As the council session ended, James turned to her. "You didn't have to do that. I meant what I said about stepping away." Anna smiled. "I know. That's exactly why I couldn't let you." Looking around the grand chamber, now slowly emptying, she felt peace with her decision. She had faced her fears, uncovered the truth, and made her choice. The path ahead might not be easy, but she knew now that facing it with a human, with this human, was exactly right. "So," James said softly, "what happens next?" Anna's antenna curled happily. "Next, we show everyone what humans and aliens can achieve together." The great hall of Unity Station sparkled with lights from 1,000 worlds. Princess Anna and Ambassador James's wedding day had drawn representatives from every corner of the galaxy. It was the first major human-alien royal wedding in history. The ceremony space had been transformed. Earth roses grew alongside alien crystal flowers. Human classical music blended perfectly with the traditional songs of Anna's people. The air smelled of Earth's sweetest blossoms and the sacred scents of her homeworld. In a private room, Anna looked at herself in the mirror. She wore a dress that combined both cultures, flowing royal robes in her people's style, decorated with delicate earth lace. Her blue skin seemed to glow with happiness. "It's time, Your Highness," Rose, her attendant, said softly. The ceremony began with both human and alien traditions. James wore a formal Earth diplomatic uniform, but with royal marks of Anna's people carefully painted on his hands, a symbol of joining their worlds. When it was time for the speeches, Anna stepped forward first. The whole galaxy was watching through countless broadcasts. A few months ago, I stood trembling in my chambers, terrified of meeting the human. She began, her voice clear and strong. I had been taught that humans were ruthless warriors to be feared. Today, I stand here to tell you how wonderfully wrong I was. She looked at James, her antenna curling with affection. Humans are not what many of us thought. Yes, they are strong. Yes, they are fierce. But their strength protects. Their fierceness defends. Where we saw ruthless warriors, I discovered passionate guardians. James smiled at her with that same gentleness that had first changed her mind about humans. In the recent attack on this station, she continued, I watched my future husband risk his life repeatedly to save others. Not just humans. Anyone who needed help. That is the true nature of humanity. They don't give up. They don't stand back. They rush forward to protect, to save, to preserve. The gathered crowds, representing hundreds of species, listened in silence. Next, James spoke. He did something no human had done before. He sang the ancient wedding song of Anna's people. He had practiced for months in secret, learning the complex tones. As his voice carried the beautiful notes, many in the audience wiped away tears. After exchanging vows in both their customs, they moved to the garden reception. Here, the human delegation showed a side of themselves that surprised many guests. They danced gracefully, shared poetry, and displayed art they had created to honor the occasion. Young alien children, once shy around humans, now played happily with human children among the flowers. Diplomats who had once kept their distance found themselves drawn into warm conversations with human representatives. Look, Anna said to James, pointing to a group of various species admiring the earth roses. They're not afraid anymore. James squeezed her hand. Fear fades when we take time to truly see each other. Later that evening, in a quiet moment among the celebrations, James led Anna to a special part of the garden. There, in a protected case, grew the first successful hybrid of earth roses and her world's crystal flowers, the impossible blend of both their worlds, growing together in harmony. A wedding gift, he said. The botanical team said it couldn't be done, that our worlds were too different, but like us, they found a way to grow together. Anna touched the case gently. The flower inside glowed with inner light like her people's blooms, but held the delicate petal structure of earth roses. It's beautiful, she whispered. Like you, James said, then laughed softly. Sorry, humans can be quite romantic sometimes too. As the celebration continued around them, more species came forward to establish new diplomatic ties with Earth. The wedding had shown them something important. The humans were not to be feared, but to be welcomed as protectors, friends, and family. In the years that followed, Anna and James's union became a symbol of hope throughout the galaxy. They proved that the strongest bonds aren't formed through fear or power, but through understanding, trust, and love. And somewhere in the royal gardens, the hybrid flowers continued to bloom, a perfect symbol of two worlds growing stronger together.